On the road to MotoGP, this is FAB-Racing.
Now looking at this grid, Trystan, as they come around to filter into position, Ethan Sparks, you've got to think that he's going to be pretty happy with that pole placement in the clear run down to turn one.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got the perfect position on the grid, hasn't he? So he's going to be ready to go here for race one for the MK-GP50. It's the first race of the weekend here at Ellough Park. And we expect to see some exciting action. One rider to keep your eye out for is the number 99 of Warwick Brady, starting further back on the grid. Always really strong in the wet, so very possible to see him climbing up through the order like he has done in the past. But it's all about the number 62 championship leader and on pole position at the moment as they get ready to start this MK-GP50. Like I say, first race for these guys and first race of the weekend as they look to the lights for the first time here at Ellough Park. And it's Ethan Sparks on pole position. Will he be able to make the most of that pole position? Good start from Ethan Sparks, but it's Alfie Davidson slotting into second place there. Clayton Edmonds as well, keeping his position there in third spot. So a good start from your top three, and everyone through cleanly now as they head down into turn two for the first time. Ollie Horner a bit further back there. Warwick Brady as well, you can see, trying to climb through, and it's Ethan Sparks who's holding on to this lead at the moment. Blake Wilson all over the back, but that's Isaiah Devine now down. That's blue bike down, unfortunately, at the beginning of this race, trying to get the bike restarted and get back out. So not what the number 90 will have wanted there. But he gets back on the bike and gets restarted in this race. But looking back to the front, it is the number 62 of Ethan Sparks with Blake Wilson just behind him there. The number 146 of Clayton Edmonds still in third place. So the top three maintaining their positions on this first lap. But it's Ronnie Harris who's on a charge now and right on their back wheel as well as they head and onto the home straight for the first time, down into turn one for the second time, and that's Filip Sorowiak down at the final corner. So disaster for the number 75 rider. We spoke to him back at Wilton Mill, looking really good this year. Back to the front is number 62 of Ethan Sparks. Brilliant start from your pole man, Gareth.
Yep, that is your championship leader leading the way. So brilliant start there from Ethan Sparks. Ronnie Harris moving up a position into fourth place. Casey Sperry did the fastest lap last time around, a 1:05.7. So Casey, even after that slight mistake on the outlap, leaving the pit lane, managing to get on the pace early on. But Ethan Sparks, I'm sure, will be fighting off Blake Wilson, who's had a really good start, only half a second behind the current championship leader as they enter that dog leg chicane, and now into the slingshot chicane down towards the bottom of the circuit at turn 9. You can see there's already a breakaway 7 all the way down to Jacob Stevenson, and then a bit of a gap back to Warwick Brady. So it's a good getaway for this leading septuple. So it is Ethan Sparks from Blake Wilson, from Ronnie Harris, who goes and does a 1:03.0. So Ronnie now moving up past Clayton Edmonds into third position. So Ronnie on the move. This is exactly what he needs to do. He needs to get within striking range of Ethan Sparks.
Yeah, absolutely flying. Ronnie Harris started from 5th on the grid and making his way up into third place now. So he's going to be targeting the number 62 of Ethan Sparks, who's leading this race. The blue bike you can see in the top of the picture there, that's Filip Sorowiak, who went down on the first lap. So they're just coming round to lap him after he's rejoined after that crash. So hopefully he will be able to stay out of trouble there as Ronnie Harris goes up the inside of Wilson down into the right-hander and makes a move stick. So that's Ronnie Harris now into second place, the number 66, absolutely on a charge in this race and closing down your race leader now. So it's going to be a battle at the front between your top two in the championship, Ethan Sparks and Ronnie Harris. Like we said, both these guys really consistent in this championship, and they've running away with it at the front, and now they're in it together at the front of this race. Number 146 Clayton Edmonds dropping a leg into turn one as they come up to Filip Sorowiak. He's definitely not holding these guys up, is Filip, so such a shame that he crashed out, because it definitely seems like he's got the pace at the front. Yeah, we saw in qualifying that Filip was doing well, but Ronnie Harris and Ethan Sparks are closing in there on the lapped bike already. But Ronnie Harris in second position.
position, holding firm, but still trying to put the pressure on Ethan Sparks. And Ethan doing a good job, as we've got a rider down there, very tricky conditions, and you can see even just touching that green concrete, it's a real no-no for these riders today.
Yeah, absolutely, and that was the number 67 of Jacob Stevenson that unfortunately went down and out of the race. And yeah, these conditions really difficult, and unfortunately catching out a couple of the riders. But that's Ronnie Harris now into the lead of this race, and he's got through on Filip Sorowiak, who went down and got lapped, and Ethan Sparks has dropped down to third place now. So Blake Wilson has managed to make his way round the number 62 of Ethan Sparks, and he's up into second place. So perhaps something happening there with Filip Sorowiak, and it's just let Ronnie Harris break away at the front. A 101.8 on that last lap, superior pace to anyone else, almost 2 seconds quicker than anyone else, and now has a 2-second lead at the front.
Yeah, Ronnie Harris has been absolutely flying since the start of this one. Started back in 5th position, has made his way through the field, and now finds himself in the lead, and with a comfortable margin over Blake Wilson and Ethan Sparks. As you can see, Clayton Edmonds battling there with Casey Sperry, and Casey Sperry now closing in on Ethan Sparks. So Ethan is almost going to go from leading the race just 3 laps ago to almost falling off the podium if the number 20 can have a say about it. And Casey looking very racy in these early stages. Even after that, you think that fall leaving the pit lane may have shaken his confidence, but clearly not.
Absolutely not. He's got straight back on the bike and is absolutely flying all over the back wheel of Ethan Sparks, and looking to try and make a move and make his way through on Ethan at the moment. All the riders down into the 101s on that last lap, so we're all showing really good pace, but Ronnie Harris still able to stretch that lead out at the front with a 2.6 second lead at the front now. Looks like Blake Wilson is just pulling away from these guys, as well as Casey Sperry makes a move on Ethan Sparks. So that's Casey Sperry now into third place rather, as we just saw the number 11 went down there. That was Harry Payne, and Filip Sorowiak now down again. Unfortunately, the number 75, second crash for him in this race, and unfortunately he is now out of this race. But Ethan Sparks now dropping through the field. He's going to have to really defend now from the number 146 of Clayton Edmonds. He's got a bit of breathing space in front of him at the moment, but not what the number 62 will have wanted, especially with Ronnie Harris stretching out a 3.1 second lead at the front.
Yeah, this is perfect for Ronnie Harris. After losing the points in race 2 at Wilton Mill, he's able to get another 2 bikes in between himself and his championship rival Ethan Sparks. And Ethan, as you say, falling into the clutches of Clayton Edmonds, and Clayton, who's been getting much better this season. We've already seen a marked improvement from the young man as the season has gone on. And Clayton, he's picked up a couple of podiums. He's even had a sniff of a win here and there. And you've got to think that with pace like this, moving into the late stages of this season, he should definitely be challenging for wins consistently.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's showed some, definitely showed some promise in this championship, and that's Charlie Huntingford down as well now, just at the side of the circuit. So really unfortunate for Charlie Huntingford on the Moto Technics backed Metrokit GP50. But on that last lap, it was Casey Sperry who set the fastest lap of the race with a 1 minute 0.6. So that's Casey Sperry who's going to be wanting to close down the number 108 of Blake Wilson. Is going to be looking to challenge for that second position. Bit of a tall order to catch your race leader, number 66, Ronnie Harris. He's cleared off at the front with a mammoth 3.5 second lead at the front of this race. So Ronnie Harris doing a brilliant job to control it at the front. As we look a little bit further back, we're back with Casey Sperry, then the number 20 all over the back wheel of Blake Wilson now. So Casey Sperry is going to be looking to make a move on Wilson and try and find his way up into second place. But there he is then, the number 66, Ronnie Harris, your race leader, will be looking to take that championship lead away from Ethan Sparks, and is looking really good to do it with 4 laps to go in this race now. But will Casey Sperry be able to make a move on Blake Wilson?
Yeah, brilliant race so far for Casey Sperry, and Casey, I'm sure, will be delighted. This is much better pace from the 20 than what we've seen so far this season, but there is the 66, your race leader, that is comfortably leading, a 3.2 second gap over Blake Wilson and Casey Sperry. Ethan Sparks is just about managed to build himself a second or so's gap over Clayton Edmonds, who drops 1.3 seconds back off of the championship leader Ethan Sparks. So Clayton will just need to compose himself and get going. Good to see Ronnie Harris just navigating his way through some lap traffic there and not losing too much time whilst doing so. So that's exactly what you need to do, and especially in conditions like this where we see perhaps the grid spread out a little bit, we see lapped traffic start to become more and more of an issue, that navigating it quickly, carefully and keeping on the pace is as important as getting to the front.
Yeah, doing a brilliant job to get through any lap traffic nice and cleanly. You just see there Ronnie Harris making his way through on Isaiah Devine and doing it nice and cleanly out the front. But it's this battle a little bit further back between Casey Sperry and Blake Wilson at the moment. They're just coming up to the back of Sam Munson and Isaiah Devine as they make their way through, and Casey Sperry has managed to make his way through and pull a bit of a gap there, so he managed to get through on the lap traffic really nice and smoothly, and has played it to his advantage now as he's got quite a bit of breathing space over Blake Wilson. But it's going to be a real tall order for him to be able to go and catch Ronnie Harris, and if I'm not wrong, Gareth, I believe this is going to be the first podium for both Blake Wilson and Casey Sperry in the GP50s. Yeah,
and they're doing a brilliant job of holding on to it with Ethan Sparks a second back from Casey Sperry. So the 108 of Blake Wilson and the 20 of Casey Sperry will both be, I'm sure, absolutely delighted. And this is what we were talking about before the lunch break during the qualifying session, is that you often find riders that have that wet weather pace. They may not show it in the dry, but as soon as the track gets a bit more treacherous, it gets a bit more greasy, some of these other riders that maybe don't fight towards the front come alive.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, some riders seem to have really good bike control in the wet and a really good feel for the conditions, and riders such as Casey Sperry, Blake Wilson has also been really quick in the dry, as he was on the front row of the grid. But it's really impressive to see how some of these riders have a real good bike feel and really good feel for these wet weather conditions. Ronnie Harris, though, a good feel for all conditions at the moment in this MK-GP50 category. 5.4 seconds is the lead he has at the front with 2 laps to go as he comes on to finish the penultimate lap, and he'll be going to start the final lap of this race 1 for the MK-GP50s, and of course the first race in the FAB-Racing Minibike British Championships at Ellough Park for a long time. So, and it's looking like it's going to be Ronnie Harris who's going to take that victory. 5.5 seconds was the lead over the line, and it's definitely going to be a tall order for anyone to go and catch him with only half a lap left to go in this race. Ronnie Harrison has done an absolutely brilliant job at the front of this race, feeling the conditions, and has just been able to put down a pace that no one else has been able to do. He's been incredibly consistent with it. His lap times haven't been massively quicker than anyone else, but the fact that he's been able to do it right from the start of the race, find where the limit is in these conditions and do it consistently, has been absolutely brilliant. So he comes through the hairpin for the final time into turn 9 there, and then through into the final corner. Ronnie Harris, it's going to be who takes the last lap flag as they go on to complete one more lap here at Ellough Park. So the MK-GP50 still with one more lap to contend with here.
Yep, but I'm sure Ronnie Harris won't worry about that at all. He will just get on it and comfortably continue around for one more lap here at the Ellough Park circuit, and look at picking up his 3rd win on the season. He didn't manage to taste victory in Wilton Mill with 2 second places and a non-score 2 weeks ago. So yeah, Ronnie Harris back to the top if he can get around these final few corners on this one. He's coming into the very slow section on the lap, and just a little bit of traffic ahead, but he should be able to get into the hairpin with no trouble whatsoever. And the 66 has controlled this, moving up from 5th on the grid all the way up to the race lead, has now built up almost a 7 seconds advantage over anyone else. Exits the final corner. What a win there for Ronnie Harris. Across the line, takes the checkered flag, and he is your first winner of the weekend here at Ellough Park for FAB-Racing.
Yeah, brilliant victory from Ronnie Harris, and a brilliant first podium there for Casey Sperry. Their Road to MotoGP starts here in the MK-GP50 Championship, and these riders showing really good quality at the front of this one. Like we say, really consistent and consistently picking up a really high level of points. Like I say, always on the podium for these guys, and that's why there's only 8 points difference at the top of the standings between Ethan Sparks and Ronnie Harris. So Ethan Sparks it is then who is on pole position for this one. You just see there the black bike with the orange number 62. He's going to be looking to get one on Ronnie Harris today after he picked up the win yesterday. And Casey Sperry getting a good podium yesterday as well for the number 20. He also had some bad luck in the LC40 Elites, which we'll see later on. But it's Ethan Sparks who is on the pole position with the number 108 of Blake Wilson in second. Number 146 of Clayton Edmonds is in third place on the grid ahead of Harrison McKay and Ronnie Harris, yesterday's race winner, in fifth. The number 76 of Charlie Huntingford is in sixth place on the grid ahead of the number 11 of Harry Payne. Ollie Horner, who we're used to seeing on pole position, in eighth place, and the number 67 of Jacob Stevenson in ninth ahead of Cameron Saul, Philip Sorowiak, Warwick Brady, who picked up an injury yesterday. He's qualified in 12th, and we're yet to see if he's to go out onto the grid. The number 20 of Casey Sperry picked up a podium yesterday. He's in 13th ahead of Samuel Munson, Ollie Sims, Felix Dorling in 16th, and the number 90 of Isaiah Devine in 17th, and rounding out your grid here for the MK-GP50. Race 2 of the weekend for these guys, and it's all about the battle for the championship between Ethan Sparks and Ronnie Harris. Of course, Mason Foster was a rider we saw in this championship early on, but he's opting to focus solely on the MK-GP70 championship. So now the battle for the championship is between Ethan Sparks and Ronnie Harris. And also, we're used to seeing a lot of riders battling for that third place spot as well. Casey Sperry was the one who picked it up yesterday, but expect to see Harrison McKay trying to fight for a podium. Clayton Edmonds, Charlie Huntingford, Ollie Horner will all be looking to get a podium for this race 2 for the MK-GP50s, and it's underway. A big wheelie there from the number 146 of Clayton Edmonds, and a brilliant start for Ethan Sparks, who just flies away off of the line and gets a very good start, and a good start as well for Ronnie Harris, but just dropping back a little bit at turn 1. Clayton Edmonds goes up the inside of him down into turn 2. You see Casey Sperry on the inside there as well, making a move on Charlie Huntingford on the Moto Technics sponsored Metric Kit GP50. Clayton Edmonds just dropping a leg there down into the left-hander as they go down into turn 5 for the first time, and Ethan Sparks has already got quite a bit of a lead on this first lap.
So he got a brilliant launch off the line, and unfortunate for Clayton Edmonds, lifting that front tyre allowed Ronnie Harris to sweep up the inside into turn 1. Clayton was trying to get back at him but not able to get the move done, but it is going to be Ethan Sparks across the line first and holding on to pole after getting that rocket of a start, and a young rider leading the championship will lead away from Blake Wilson in second position. Harrison McKay from Ronnie Harris, Clayton Edmonds and Ollie Horner will be battling out as Ollie Horner drops down a couple of positions behind Jacob Stevenson, and the fast starting Ollie Sims, who's making his way up through the order as well. So Ollie Sims, having started 15th, now finds himself 7th after the end of the first lap.
Yeah, that's exactly how you do a first lap there by Ollie Sims, picking up a lot of positions there, but that's the number 90 of Isaiah Devine, who's gone down there. Had a couple of crashes in warm-up earlier on today as well, so but he's getting back on the bike and trying to get restarted in this race. A rider we see improving all the time and learning what it's like here on these British circuits. He's had a bit of experience over in Bermuda racing pit bikes, but now is here joining us in FAB-Racing. But it's Ethan Sparks out the front, then there's the number 61 of Harrison McKay, currently third place in this race, and they're chasing down the number 8 of Blake Wilson just in front of him. Ronnie Harris there, and that's Blake Wilson down, and he's taken down the number 66 of Ronnie Harris as well. Unfortunately got collected by the bike of Blake Wilson. Nowhere for Ronnie Harris to go there, so that's your second place man in the championship down, trying to get that bike up and restarted in the middle of the circuit. So he's going to be trying to get back out and score some points. Damage limitation it's going to be then for Ronnie Harris in this race.
Yeah, disaster there for Ronnie Harris, getting caught up in someone else's accident, and it's real shame for the 66, who was starting very well and starting to close in on a number of the riders ahead, but it's going to allow Ethan Sparks, who sets the fastest time of 56.498 last time around, 2 seconds faster than anyone else on circuit. He's now got himself a 4.3 second gap over Harrison McKay. Clayton Edmonds now finds himself back up onto the podium positions after starting on third on the grid. He is back up in third. Jacob Stevenson, and that promotes Ollie Sims up another 2 positions. He now finds himself in 5th place. This is a brilliant race so far for Ollie.
Yeah, Ollie Sims absolutely flying in this one, so we're really coming into his own at this Ellough Park circuit. And that's Charlie Huntingford down as well on the number 76 machine with a bit of damage to the tail there, so I don't think he's going to be able to get that one restarted and back into this race. Dad just running over to make sure Charlie is all right there, so disaster for the number 76 there of Charlie Huntingford. Looking back at Ollie, the battle between Ollie Horner and Cameron Sewell, that's the battle for 7th place at the moment in this race, but Ethan Sparks now with a 5.7 second lead over Harrison McKay. We saw Ronnie Harris run away with it yesterday, but it's Ethan Sparks who's looking to run away with it in this race 2 for the MK-GP50s. Harrison McKay having a pretty good weekend so far, was looking pretty strong in yesterday's race, fighting for podium positions and looking strong to pick up a 2nd place in this race at the moment, as well as Clayton Edmonds in 3rd. He's going to be really happy with that one, with 8 laps to go in this one. He'll be looking to try and hold on to that one. So yeah, brilliant stuff from all of these guys at the moment as we look at that battle for 7th place between Ollie Horner and Cameron Sewell. The number 70 there of Ollie Horner battling out with the number 100 of Cameron Sewell. So brilliant battle between these guys, but it's all about the leader at the front. 7-second lead for the number 62 of Ethan Sparks.
Yeah, he's clearly had his Weetabix this morning, because Ethan Sparks is on a different planet to anyone else. Currently circulating the circuit at about a 1.5 seconds faster than anyone else, and Ronnie Harris is back up in and underway, has just passed Felix Dorling there in 11th position. So it is the game on for Ronnie Harris in trying to recover some points from this, because as you said earlier, it's a disaster recovery for him, and really starting to because obviously Ethan Sparks is going to be taking 25 points away if he can keep it on the circuit. And if you're Ronnie Harris, this is worst case scenario, your championship rival leading with a huge almost 10-second margin over anyone else. Harrison McKay, who jumped up to 5th place in the championship last night ahead of Sam Munson, is in 2nd place. Clayton Edmonds, who picked up his first podium a couple of rounds ago, he's currently holding on to 3rd. Casey Sperry has jumped up into 4th place, so Casey moving up from 13th to 4th. Ollie Sims is in 5th, has moved up from 15th to 5th. So we've got a couple of riders that have really woken up this morning and put some electric pace down, as you can see there on circuit. That is Cameron Sewell trying to go around the outside of Ollie Horner. He's trying to get the cut back. There's Isaiah Devine as they're lapping, but can Cameron get alongside as they try and go alongside with Ollie Horner? But not quite. Ollie shows them the door. Ollie Horner, of course, started the last 2 races on pole position. Not quite had the pace here at Ellough Park. New circuit, of course, to many of these riders, and Ollie not having the same pace that we saw last few rounds from him.
Yeah, not where we're used to seeing Ollie Horner, currently down in 7th position. We've seen him battling for podiums, picking up pole positions, so not where he will have wanted to be, but still a solid ride in these conditions in this MK-GP50 race. Casey Sperry now then up into 3rd place in this race. He's made up 10 positions in this race from 13th place on the grid. He picked up 3rd place yesterday, the number 20 machine, now 3rd place in this race. Ethan Sparks still leading with a mammoth 11.1 seconds lead last time over the line and over Harrison McKay. Ronnie Harris now up into 10th place after crashing out and rejoining, so he's 2nd place man in the championship, trying to pick up as many points as he can in this race to try and ensure that Ethan Sparks doesn't score too many points over him in this one. But Ethan looking really comfortable to pick up the victory in this one at the moment.
Yeah, and that's Casey Sperry and Clayton Edmonds battling once again, and Clayton looks as though he's got back ahead of the 20 of Casey Sperry. So Clayton Edmonds back into a podium position. We've got 5 laps left to go in this one, and we've got Ethan Sparks leading from Harrison McKay. Clayton Edmonds is on circuit battling with Casey Sperry. Ollie Sims in 5th with Jacob Stevenson just half a second behind. Cameron Sewell has jumped Ollie Horner on that last lap, so Cameron Sewell finally passed Ollie Horner. He's been trying for a number of laps, been trying the inside line, the outside line, and he's finally got past. But and there is another rider that's got past. It's Clayton Edmonds, but around the outside goes Casey Sperry. What a move from Casey Sperry, sweeping around the outside of Clayton Edmonds. If you're Clayton Edmonds, you probably weren't expecting that at all.
No, absolutely brilliant move there from the number 20. Like I say, around the outside, and in these wet weather conditions, really difficult to do, and it looks as if he's just pulling away now from Clayton Edmonds. So some really good pace being shown by Casey Sperry at the moment, and yeah, comes across the line with a sizable gap now over the number 146 of Clayton Edmonds. So Clayton's going to have to regroup and try and see if he can pull that gap back in, but it looks as if they're closing down a little bit on Harrison McKay at the moment. The lap times very similar at the moment, 58.5 for Harrison McKay and a 58.1 for Clayton Edmonds, but Casey Sperry with a 56.8 on that last lap, so he's got pace that no one else is able to find at the moment. He's closing in on Harrison McKay now, so Casey Sperry could be looking for second place. He's right on the back wheel now of Harrison McKay and makes a move down into the dog leg hairpin and takes second place away from Harrison McKay, and Harrison McKay is going to have to be careful now as well, because Clayton Edmonds is looking menacing just behind as well.
Yeah, Clayton Edmonds has had a few issues with the bike in the last week or so. Looks as though he's managed to get some of them sorted, but Casey Sperry has really come alive in the final stages of this one. We come across the line with 3 laps left to go. The wind is really starting to sweep around the circuit now. Now, Trystan, a rider yourself, you've ridden on bikes this size and much smaller, and of course now Superstock 600. What's it like with gusts across the circuit, where especially going into a headwind and tailwind?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be affecting these riders, especially on these little 50cc metricates. They're quite small, quite light, and they'll be easily blown around on circuit. So it's not something that they're going to want to be contending with, especially with a slippery circuit around this Ellough Park circuit at the moment. But now Clayton Edmonds looking really menacing onto the back wheel of the number 61. Harrison McKay on that True Heroes liveried bike there, and the number 146 looking to pick up another podium in this class, but he's going to have to pass Harrison McKay to be able to get it. Harrison McKay having a good weekend and in a good third place at the moment, but it's he's going to be put under pressure by the number 146 of Clayton Edmonds at the moment. Ethan Sparks continuing to extend that lead out the front, just cruising a little bit at the moment, not putting down the pace that he was putting down earlier in this race, but it's he doesn't need to be, because he's got 13.2 seconds at the lead. The number 62 of Ethan Sparks leading this one by a long way.
Yeah, doing a brilliant job as Ethan Sparks looking at picking up another win on the season in this class in the MK-GP50s. Ronnie Harris has now caught Sam Munson for 9th position, and the 66 is really starting to close in on the 72, looking at picking up some more points, and up the road it looks as though it might just be a bit too much of a long shot to catch Ollie Horner. There's the last lap flag for Ethan Sparks. He knows just one more tour of this Ellough Park circuit will reap him the 25 points that he will desperately be wanting. Has a quick glance across the circuit to try and work out where the rest of his competitors and rivals are, because they're absolutely nowhere near him. The 62 has got a 12.5 second advantage over anyone else, and has just been riding away off into the distance in this one. Really enjoyed a very, very strong start to the day, and Ethan Sparks will be extending that championship lead. It had been knocked down to 8 points after Ronnie Harris's win in race 1 yesterday, but it's going to be quite considerably extended now that he's just leaving the dogleg hairpin now towards the slingshot hairpin at turn 9. And Ethan Sparks has really earned this one. It's been a dominant win for the 62 into the penultimate corner. out of the sweeping right. Ethan Sparks to the line, taking the flag. What a win for Ethan Sparks. Really well. You can see that. A quick nod to himself. He had to work for that one, and work for it he did. Yeah, very happy indeed. He knows that he's just taking a big lead in this championship.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant result there from Ethan Sparks, especially with Ronnie Harris crashing out and being further down the field. So we'll see where he managed to recover to when he crosses the line. But it was Casey Sperry then that took second place, and Harrison McKay did defend that third spot away from Clayton Edmonds. But Ethan Sparks really dominant out the front, just eased off right at the end there. So really sensible ride there from Ethan. He knew he had a big gap and didn't have to push right at the end. So really sensible ride, and it's the mark of a champion.
Yeah, absolutely so, and does it with the fastest lap of the race as well, 56.498. So Ethan Sparks, different planet to everyone else this morning. But Casey Sperry, what a race from the 20 bike, heading all the way up from 13th on the grid into second. Casey Sperry enjoying this circuit clearly, having done well in the Minibikes and on the Mitra kit MK-GP50s. But Ethan Sparks is your race winner here at race 2 of the MK-GP50s, ahead of Casey Sperry and Harrison McKay, who beat off Clayton Edmonds' challenge in the final stages by just under a tenth of a second. Ollie Sims, brilliant race from the 73, finds himself up from 15th to 5th. Cameron Sewell in 6th with Jacob Stevenson 7th. Ollie Horner in 8th with Ronnie Harris recovering to 9th position, having passed Samuel Munson with 2 laps to go in 9th place. Sam Munson in 10th, and then outside the top 10, Philip Soroviak, Felix Dorling, Harry Payne and Azar Devine in 14th position. Unfortunately, we lost Charlie Huntingford, Blake Wilson and a non-start from Warwick Brady.
Ethan Sparks, the number 62, who will line up on pole position, and just next to him will be the number 8 of Blake Wilson on his MK-GP50 machine, just in front of the number 146 of Clayton Edmonds. Harrison McKay, who picked up 3rd yesterday, will be 4th on the grid ahead of Ronnie Harris. Charlie Huntingford in 6th place. Harry Payne at the number 11 lines up on 7th place, and we spoke to him earlier in the weekend.
It's gone really well on the Metro Kit, and I've enjoyed the Metro Kit because it's a bonus, because I wasn't even going to race the Metro Kit this year because I only just got in the beginning of lockdown. So it's a bonus to be here and racing on the Metro Kit.
So brilliant to hear from Harry Payne there. He's lining up on 7th on the grid on the number 11 machine. Ollie Horner, the number 70, lines up in 8th place ahead of the number 67 of Jacob Stevenson. The number 100 of Cameron Hall will be lined up on 10th place ahead of Philip Soroviak. Warwick Brady won't be racing this weekend after a crash yesterday. Casey Sperry will line up then in 12th place ahead of the number 72 of Samuel Munson in 13th. Ollie Sims in 14th ahead of Felix Dorling, the number 87 in 15th, and the number 90 of Azar Devine will round out your grid for this race 3 for the MK-GP50s as they go on to start their warm-up lap for the 3rd race of the weekend and the final race of the weekend for these guys. Will it be Ethan Sparks, or will it be Ronnie Harris that takes this one, or will we see a surprise victory?
Yeah, it's really, really open. Watch out for the likes of Casey Sperry. He's already picked up 2 podiums already this weekend, starting from 13th on the grid, a 3rd place in race 1, a 2nd place in race 2. Ollie Sims had a brilliant race 2, moving up from 15th to 5th. So watch out for a lot of the riders coming from the back end of the field. And yeah, we just heard from Harry Payne there quickly. I had a quick chat with him before the weekend, and yeah, really good, nice little story about what got him into racing. And of course, you can watch all of these interviews with all the riders that we caught on Friday later in the week in the FAB-Racing YouTube page, and of course on their Facebook page as well. So yeah, plenty of places to catch up with all these interviews that we conducted with all of the riders throughout the weekend. But it will be Ethan Sparks on pole from Blake Wilson, Clayton Edmonds, Harrison McKay, and your 2nd place man in the championship, Ronnie Harris. A lot of work to do. That gap in the championship is now extended out to 27 points. So Ethan Sparks sitting on over a race wins gap over Ronnie Harris. So watch out for a fast starting 66 on that white bike with the red stripe and the blue badge. He will, I'm sure, will be trying to get to the front and close in on the 62, the black bike with the orange number. Your championship leader, and Ethan Sparks as they get ready to look to the lights and get ready for their third and final race of the weekend here at Ellough Park. And it's a good start there for the 108 of Blake Wilson up into the lead. Clayton Edmonds in third position, sweeps around, holds into position, but off the line Ethan Sparks dropped by Blake Wilson. Brilliant start there from the 108, straight up into the lead.
Yeah, brilliant start from him, and was late on the brakes into turn one, taking that whole shot. Clayton Edmonds up into third, maintaining that third place spot that he had off of the grid. So he'll be looking to pick up another podium in the MK-GP50 class here at race 3 for the MK-GP50s at Ellough Park. A good start then from Blake Wilson, a rider we've seen really come into his own this weekend, fighting at the front of this MK-GP50 championship and looking to pick up some podiums, or a podium in this final race of the weekend for the MK-GP50s. As they come across the line for the first time then, it's still the number 8 of Blake Wilson leading ahead of Ethan Sparks and Clayton Edmonds. Ronnie Harris still down there in 5th place, just behind Harrison McKay, the number 61, who's in 4th. So Ronnie Harris battling it out for the championship with Ethan Sparks, and he's going to be looking to make a few moves stick and get onto the back wheel of the number 62 of Ethan Sparks. There you can just see the black bike with the orange flashes. That's Ethan Sparks. Just in your picture there, number 66, that's Ronnie Harris. These two fighting for the championship and absolutely going hammer and tongs at it this year. But it's all about Blake Wilson at the front now as Ethan Sparks makes a move down into the slingshot hairpin. Beautifully done there by the 62. Will he be able to check out like he did earlier on? We'll have to wait and see as they go through into the final corner one more time down onto the home straight. Will the number 8 of Blake Wilson have any answer to the charging number 62 of Ethan Sparks?
Brilliant move there from Sparks into the slingshot hairpin, gets himself up into the lead of this one. Clayton Edmonds still holding third with Harrison McKay fending off Ronnie Harris, who came across the line less than a tenth of a second behind the 61. So the 66, you can see there trying to sweep around the outside, but they're stuck behind Clayton Edmonds, and Clayton doing a good job of holding on to this podium position. But Ronnie Harris, I'm sure, will be frustrated watching Ethan Sparks now up into the lead. This one starting to stretch his legs, and yeah, we saw in the first race that Ethan won at a canter really by the end of it. So Ronnie Harris has really got his work cut out if he's to close in on Ethan Sparks, who's seemingly very much enjoying this Ellough Park circuit for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. Blake Wilson coming in to a bit of a league of his own in this one with Ethan Sparks. Those two flying out the front, and Harrison McKay there just losing touch slightly of your third place man, the number 146 of Clayton Edmonds. Ronnie Harris trying to find a way through on the number 61. You've got to think with the two at the front pulling away, Ronnie Harris, your second place man in the championship, is going to want to find a way through on these guys sooner rather than later, as those two guys at the front are pulling away now and running out of time a little bit for the number 66 of Ronnie Harris. Still 9 laps to go in this one, but if he wants to be able to challenge Ethan Sparks for points in this championship, he needs to get past these guys and start putting a charge on to catch up to Ethan Sparks. But brilliant job from both Harrison McKay and Clayton Edmonds to be defending these positions from Ronnie Harris. Ronnie trying to find any way through that he can at the moment, and Ethan Sparks setting the fastest lap of the race on that last lap, putting out half a second advantage over Blake Wilson. But Blake isn't going anywhere at the moment. He's doing all he can to stay with the number 62 with Ethan Sparks at the front.
Casey Sperry's involved in a brilliant fight at the moment in the midfield between himself, Sam Munson, Ollie Sims and Cameron Sewell. Almost a 4-5 bike battle there as Clayton Edmonds looks as though he might have just got a little bit slowly, and he's dropped a position there behind both Ronnie Harris and both Harrison McKay. So Clayton Edmonds, we've heard that he's had a couple of issues with the bike throughout the week, and it's hampered him this weekend, and you can see dropping off the order. So a real issue there for Clayton Edmonds, a real shame. Once again looking good for a podium, but bike issues once again his technical gremlin.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate for Clayton Edmonds. We've seen that a couple of times this season. He's suffered from a few bits of bad luck, but Ronnie Harris, his eyes will be lighting up at that as he can climb forward in this race and start scoring more points and get closer to Ethan Sparks. But Ethan out the front now, almost a second advantage he has over Blake Wilson, who's running now in a little bit of a lonely second place. Still 7 laps to go in this race, so we can wait and see if Blake Wilson has an answer for the pace of Ethan Sparks out the front. Harrison McKay still holding on to third ahead of Ronnie Harris. Clayton Edmonds falling down the order as we look at Harry Payne down in 7th, battling it out with Philip Sorovic, the number 75 on the blue bike with the yellow flashes, just in front of the number 20 Casey Sperry, who had a LC40 win snatched away from him yesterday after leading the whole race. And that's Harrison McKay that's gone down, is trying to rejoin at the hairpin. So Harrison McKay rejoining this race, the number 61. He was in third place, so that promotes Ronnie Harris up into third now, and Blake Wilson with the fastest lap of the race on that last lap and closing in your race leader now. So a battle out the front is brewing, and this battle between Harry Payne, Philip Sorovic, Casey Sperry and Sam Munson also really hotting up nicely. Ollie Sims is in there as well, Cameron Sewell, Charlie Huntingford, Jacob Stevenson also going well in that group as well, so a big battle further back. But Blake Wilson really closing in on Ethan Sparks now, almost on his back wheel, pretty much on his back wheel now. So Ethan Sparks has lost that advantage that he had over Blake Wilson. It's now 0.4 of a second. Blake Wilson on an absolute charge, the only rider in the 52s so far this race, and he set 2 52.9s back to back, so extremely consistent pace from Blake Wilson.
Yeah, really nicely done in this midpoint of the race for Blake Wilson. 5 laps left to go, and he's closing in on race leader Ethan Sparks behind Harry Payne. Do not look behind you, because you've got an absolute swarm of bikes looking to get past you, and Harry's doing a brilliant job to hold on to it. But one man that's also having doing a brilliant job holding on is currently your race leader Ethan Sparks, the 62 championship leader, is currently holding off the 108 of Blake Wilson. Blake looking for his first podium, and he's doing a good job of holding on to it and trying to grab first and making that second place even better. But he's going to have to get past Ethan Sparks, and that's no mean task. Behind Ronnie Harris is now within 3 seconds. So Ronnie, now that he's been set free from Harris McKay and Clayton Edmonds, is starting to get on the pace, and he's starting to close in on that lead duo. Behind, the battle is still going on between multiple bikes. That's Casey Sperry with Ollie Sims, Cameron Sewell, Charlie Huntingford, all fighting with each other. Harry Payne is still got Philip Sorovic behind him as well. So this battle through the midfield is really heating up. We've got 4 laps left to go. You can see Philip Sorovic really starting to hassle the back of Harry Payne, but Harry holding position very firmly. We heard from him briefly on the lead up to the grid, and he was doing a brilliant job. Ollie Sims takes a position there, so Ollie Sims makes a move there on Sam Munson, trying to make a move on Sam Munson. Behind, Casey Sperry is currently maybe not making the moves that we've seen so far. He moved up from 13th to 3rd in race 1 and 13th to 2nd, currently circulating in 10th position, so maybe not the race for Casey that he was hoping for. No,
absolutely not, but he's in a big battle that goes right up to 6th place at the moment, so a big battle brewing here further back, and this is perfect for the number 61 of Harrison McKay, who went down and is trying to recover from that crash, because he can just pick these riders off one by one now and find himself up into a top 6 finish possibly in this race with 3 laps to go. A lot of work cut out for the number 61 of Harrison McKay, but plenty of time to be able to do it, and it's looking as if Ronnie Harris is really closing in the leaders now, as the leaders have come round to some back markers, and it's really hotting up at the front, as well as this battle towards for 6th place between Harry Payne, Sorovic, Munson and McKay, trying to climb his way through. But Ethan Sparks now still leading this one, but Blake Wilson and Ronnie Harris almost together on circuit now. You can see there's a few there's a bit of gaps between these guys, but Blake Wilson trying to find his way back onto the back wheel of the number 62 of Ethan Sparks, but Ronnie Harris is on a mission as well, a second faster than the two guys in front of him on that last lap, and is really trying to bring that gap down. It was 1.9 seconds last time over the line. What will it be this time? They come down into the slingshot hairpin into the penultimate corner. One more corner to go, and we'll find out how far away Ronnie Harris is from these guys as they come on to start the final lap of this race. And it's Ethan Sparks going real defensive down into turn 1. He wants to make sure he can pick up another 25 points here today. Ronnie Harris just a little bit too far to be able to be in touch with these guys, but what can Blake Wilson do about the number 62 of Ethan Sparks? He's all over his back wheel now, trying to find a way through. Ethan Sparks going defensive once again as they head down into turn 5 for the final time, but Ronnie Harris has found his way right onto the back of these guys now. So what can Ronnie Harris do about these two guys in front of him? Ethan Sparks now with a little bit of breathing space. Ronnie Harris looks to the inside, can't quite make a move stick. There's only two more corners, two more passing opportunities for these guys as Alfie Davidson Blake Wilson heads down into the hairpin, down into the penultimate corner, has a look to the inside, can't quite make a move stick. One more corner to go, but it's going to be the number 62 of Ethan Sparks that takes the win ahead of Blake Wilson and Ronnie Harris taking third place in that one. So really close finish, and we look further back then, Clayton Edmonds picks up 4th, but Sam Munson up the inside of Harry Payne for 6th place as they head down towards the slingshot hairpin for the final time. Harrison McKay's managed to get in front of these guys. So who's going to win this? Is big gaggle of riders here, all battling it out further back as they head down through the final corner for the final time, and it's going to be Sam Munson that takes that battle. Harrison McKay took 6th place, Sam Munson in 7th, Harry Payne in 8th there, and a little bit tired after that one, Gareth.
Take a breath. What a call there from you. Brilliantly done. What a race from these MK-GP50 riders. That's how you end a weekend here, and doing it in sensational style is Ethan Sparks. He picks up another win, his second on the weekend, a second and 2 firsts. A brilliant return to Ellough Park for Ethan Sparks. He takes up the win ahead of Blake Wilson, who picks up his first podium, and then Ronnie Harris managing to come up into 3rd place. Clayton Edmonds does recover to 4th with Ollie Horner in 5th. Harrison McKay in 5th position with Sam Munson in 7th position. Harry Payne unfortunately losing that position to Sam on the last lap, with Casey Sperry 9th and Ollie Sims rounding out the top 10. But that fight went all the way down to Charlie Huntingford, and a brilliant fight. Sam Munson, Harry Payne, Casey Sperry, Ollie Sims, Karen Masul, Philip Soroviak, Charlie Huntingford, Jacob Stevenson. Hats off to you all. What a brilliant way to end your weekend. Superb action here at FAB as usual.